right, we are back on the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show with Wisk and Kev. We're coming to you live from the Salisbury Center studios on the Wylde Style Network.
I feel like I was just busted, by the way. Like, I do have my phone out, but because Kevin is Mr. Copious Notes, and I don't have copious notes, but I have some items I want to refer to, so that's why the phone is out, people. Yes. So I just have to clarify that. So I feel like Mom is watching.
Yeah, so we're kind of doing this in reverse tonight, how we would normally do the show, you know, since we're live, but we normally would try and kick off these events where we have the live bands and we're doing the interviews with a little bit of a kind of show opener and kind of...
We're reflecting, Kevin.
Yeah, reflect.
We'll call it a reflecting section.
All right. Yeah. Little reflection. Right. So
right.
We've talked about it on a couple of past episodes. You know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame voting was out.
That's what I had to refer to. Those were my notes that I had to go back into, because it's an announcement that just happened this week. The inductees were announced.
Right.
We've talked a lot about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and in terms of like, you know, what is rock and roll? I know that we're amongst them, some upset rock and roll fans that are out there, you know, justifiably so. And that doesn't necessarily hammer the inductees that made it in. So I'm going to, you know, start by saying that.
Yeah. You know, so I'd say it's a relatively interesting list of inductees.
It is. It is. So do you want to read them off? Do you want to go to your notes, or do you want me to go to mine?
I have my notes, but I'd prefer to not wear my glasses. So
I'll
go ahead and let you do it.
Kevin's going to go to the glasses. Well, because I got the pinch. I can just magnify
Yes,
mine.
I can't pinch and zoom my notepad.
I got that going for me. So we have Kate Bush, Sheryl Crow, Missy Elliott, George Michael, Willie Nelson, The Spinners, and Rage Against the Machine. So I wore a Rage shirt. Remember when we were voting?
Is this on the air, Scott?
Yes. We're looking at a screen.
Yeah, so we shared a link with Scott from Loudwire, and so yeah, there was quite a bit of blowback related to more so
the inductees,
who got in,
right,
but who didn't get in.
It's a really good point.
Yes.
Really good point.
And to point out that two of the inductees, both of which were in the top 5 in the fan vote,
yes,
I'll add,
yes,
got slighted. Soundgarden.
I'm wearing it for a reason. So when the vote came out, I wore my Rage shirt in support of Rage.
Right.
I don't think that because I wore the shirt that worked. It's just that simply Rage got in. So I was trying to acknowledge it, you know, at the time. And now I flipped to the Soundgarden shirt to acknowledge what you're saying, Kevin.
Yeah. And the biggest slight, in my opinion, is the fact that Iron Maiden, yet again, is getting denied their just due.
Mm-hmm.
That band, there are so many bands that are already in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that are heavily influenced by Iron Maiden, one of the new wave of British heavy metal bands, that to me, it's a crime that they're not in.
Right.
When other bands are getting in. And, you know, I could even, you know, in my opinion, the fact that Rage is in and Soundgarden isn't in.
Right.
Is
because there would be, like, you have to go to influences. We talk about influences with a lot of bands that walk in here. You know, Soundgarden laid the groundwork for all of grunge, as far, at least like popular grunge. I'm not going to say that they were the only band that did that, you know, to kind of like pull that back. But they, to me, were the on the forefront of getting it recognized out of that Seattle scene. You know, people, to me, give Nirvana that credit, but Soundgarden was there first.
They were definitely in the clubs a lot longer than some of the other bands. So.
And influential, and even influential to bringing along Eddie Vedder. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, conversation about that and his emergence into Pearl Jam and bringing Pearl Jam along. So, you know, Pearl Jam being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame owes a lot to Soundgarden.
Sure.
I'm a huge Soundgarden fan, very obviously. So
yeah,
I worship at the altar of Chris Cornell. I always say that. Just a beast of a vocalist and a beast of a songwriter and a beast of a musician just in general. So I'm going to get off the soapbox, but because we could be here all night.
For sure. Yeah. And it's really disappointing. And Scott, if that article's still up, if you can scroll down a little bit, you know, one of the namesakes for the show right there,
Ronnie James Dio,
is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
He's not.
And that's another injustice. And especially, even more so after watching the documentary that came out a little while back, Dreamers Never Die.
Yes.
I never realized, and we talked about this on a previous episode, never realized his prior to Rainbow, his career and what that was.
Yeah.
So for him to not be in, is just another real slight to hard rock and metal, for one. But for someone who's way over deserving of that, getting in.
Right. I like to go back, like you can get upset about the inductees this year. I think like it was a telling moment last year. I still go back to that with the Dolly Parton reaction. I think a lot of debate goes into hip hop, and whether hip hop belongs, but, and I think maybe some people can make some better correlations to country and country music. I don't know if you're hearing that, but like, who's kicking on outside, Scott?
Oh, Betty Gray.
All right, nice. All right, so they're taken to a stage. So speaking of some Hall of Fame kind of like intros right there, it's loud and proud.
For sure.
But, Dolly rejected it at first, and Dolly's great. She's amazing, like not to take away from Dolly Parton, but Dolly Parton herself, which is basically like, I'm not a rock artist. I don't necessarily understand the nomination, and I don't understand the induction. So then she turned around and, to me, even like worked to make a rock album after the fact. So like to kind of prove her worth and getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, I think that not only the artists that don't get their influenced artists into it, but those that then I'm getting flashed out front for something. But those artists in turn that get inducted even don't understand it. In other words, it's two-sided. And it's not coming from the fans, because we're fans, but coming from those artists that are involved. I think that's a confusing point even for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, it's disappointing. It took Judas Priest forever to get in there, and they finally did. So I'm hoping Maiden and some of the other bands that are truly deserving on the hard rock side of things. Mm-hmm. And, so...
hey, wait, so I got to pause. You got to pause that thought, because I see with all the jumping around about, people are celebrating in the Salisbury Center because there's another ticket winner from RVCareBear.com. Our ticket winner is Mark Shaw. Congratulations, Mr. Mark Shaw. We'll see you at the Kick show.
Yes. Yeah. So, I'm sure we'll have more debates and discussions about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And you know what? We talk about a lot of things on this show that I think that you and I have gone out and we've heard from you all, other people, that they want to be included in the conversation. And we want to include more people in the conversation. So tonight's our first night live. If you're watching this streaming live, that's fantastic. We're exploring the options for calling in. We're exploring different options for including it, but one of those options that's ready to go right now is our email address. So if you email standupandshoutrockshow.com, so that's just our namesake, standupandshoutrockshow@gmail.com, just not standupandshoutrockshow.com is the website that we have, but standupandshoutrockshow@gmail.com, we'll be able to like catch some of your mail and discuss some of your mail in turn from week to week. So we're looking forward to hearing from you. And if you have any thoughts about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, no matter how crass and crude they are, we can be able to, we can handle it. Kevin's a big boy. He's able to take whatever you got to give.
Yes, and we also launched today the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show Facebook page as well. So you can catch us on Facebook. You can message us there, and we've got some things in the works, some cool sort of interactive projects we're working on. So upcoming episodes, we'll be able to get you involved.
Yeah, so I know, but I will say, like, getting back to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Missy Elliott, we love you. You're very innovative and genius of an artist. And Willie Nelson, just the same. You can't deny him. I just think that, Kevin, like, you hit the nail on the head. If you're going to broaden the scope of defining rock and roll, you need to broaden then the artist pool that you're drawing into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm going to leave, that's kind of my final thought on it. You can be inclusive, but you need to be inclusive of actually more traditional rock acts than, in other words. And you have some, such as Soundgarden and Iron Maiden, that's not, to me, I think, lost on the fan vote, but it's lost on the artist kind of assumption of what it takes to get into that institution too. So,
and and Megadeth.
They belong. There you go. And there's another plug for Kevin's crew.
Yep. So, but now the big thing is we're looking forward to next weekend.
So I'm going to bring up your heard and word. So if you refer back to a past episode, there's a festival happening that Kevin and I, some others, we regularly attend. It's the M3 Rock Festival out of Meriwether Post Pavilion in Columbia, Maryland. Of course, a throwback to a lot of glam metal from the 80s that we grew up on and loved. And we get to see some of our greatest bands out there. But there was a heard and word, and Kevin, you designed the heard and word. I'm going to try to quote it exactly right, and I don't think I'm going to, but I'm paraphrasing that in other words. So the thing that I'm most looking forward to at the M3 Rock Festival is, and then there was the blank. So that was the slide that came up in the heard word. You threw a curve out in that when you threw out the band, oh my gosh, Child's Play.
Yep.
You know, as your hyphenated word, so to speak. I was lucky enough to have a one-word named band, and it was Extreme. And if you haven't heard the news from the M3 Rock Festival or Loudwire or BuzzFeed or any other places, but Extreme had to back out of that festival because
Nuno got a boo-boo.
Nuno Betancourt, who, you know, another one that we just all worship and love, Nuno Betancourt, who we gave out shout out in this podcast at the Super Bowl performance because everybody recognized, of course, Rihanna. But Nuno, you know, is usually her touring guitarist, which is a great thing. So you got to see him on the Super Bowl, was not able to make the M3 Rock Festival. So he was evidently, as the story goes, and media that we're reading, was on the
Monsters of
Rock cruise and decided to hit a basketball court and blew his ACL. So for the second year in a row, I am denied seeing Extreme at the M3 Rock Festival. So I got to change my word.
So what is it?
Are you good? Would you change your word?
No.
Oh.
Because both of mine that I talked about are going to actually come true.
Okay, so let me ask you, should I stick with an act?
The question was, what are you most
looking forward to?
And it's not going to be fucking rainy, cold.
Right, the weather?
So that's one that's going to be good.
If I want to go with it, it's hard because I could say if I went with an act, I got to say Lita because I got to give it to Lita because Lita's been rock solid. You know, like every performance I've seen from Lita Ford, she shows up like in an amazing way.
It's not Winger.
It's not Winger. Sorry to all the Winger fans out there. Look, I'm just gonna say the beverages. I'm gonna leave it at that. Now, I'm still heartbroken. I can't get into it. Like recommitting my word to another act, and I'm gonna say the beverages.
Beverages will be good.
Yeah,
and then it's next Saturday night.
Next Saturday night. So that's the tickets that went out to Clay Airy and Mark Shaw, our two big prize winners. So we know that those two are going to be at the Kick Show.
We cannot wait to have Kicks.
Yes.
Days of Five.
Yes.
And Gavin Evick all here in the Salisbury Center.
Yeah.
As part of the owner's annual 39th birthday bash.
Then there's that. Then we're celebrating Mr. Jeff Salisbury. Yeah.
Hooray.
I know.
39 again.
Yeah, right.
39 again.
Look, before we get to obviously the music performances are going to be they're going to be stellar. But the podcasts, I think, are going to be stellar. You know?
Let's hope. I just emailed their manager to make sure that it's okay for them to do an interview. We'll see.
You know, I'll go to Gavin Evick because I've loved the podcast that we've had. Remember when we had Gavin in here the first time? And it was really kind of, was it Gavin's first show even?
It was.
Yes.
So we caught him on his first show, and it was definitely his first podcast. And he was so laser focused, you know, and as trying to be as professional as he can, which was great. And that was awesome. But then he came in for the second podcast on his 21st birthday.
21st birthday, you got it.
Yeah. And then it was on. And so, there was just energy in this place. So we're getting to see a little bit of an evolution with Gavin Evick that I think is, wicked fun.
And then
the energy is going to be sick next week.
Whether they like it or not, we're going to have the Stonewall Jackson High School reunion as part of the Days of Five segment.
Pretty much.
So, you know.
Wait a minute. It's You Are High, Unity Reed.
No, it's Stonewall Jackson.
You're not going to go with You Are High?
No.
All right.
No. So, so totally stoked for next Saturday night. And, more to come on the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show for next week. And
wait a minute, I got to say also, I got to give a plug to this aging act. I just saw Billy Idol 2 nights ago, and he's always badass. And holy shit, he brought it again, and sold out Ram's Head Live. So it was a small venue. Billy Idol doesn't know that he's not 23 years old. You're talking about your 39th birthday? That dude's
he's
solidly
23.
Right.
Year.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Shirts off, standing on top of monitors, screaming more.
Dude, he's the best.
He is. Yes.
He doesn't age. I mean, he still looks good.
Totally. Sounds good, looks good, high energy. So, and Steve Stevens, of course, was amazing too. So
Absolutely.
if you get a chance to see Billy Idol, don't hesitate, pull the trigger, catch him while you can. Just like a lot of, of course, we're missing out on extremes. I always say that. Catch the rock acts when you have the opportunity to catch the rock acts, because,
they may not be around for much longer.
Lightning in a bottle. Exactly. You're capturing lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, speaking of which, Kix doesn't age either.
No.
Somebody made a comment about, you should have booked this show 40 years ago. And I'm like, they sound as good, if not better, than they did 40 years ago.
A beauty of that band, without a doubt, is like a high performance. I've never seen a mediocre performance from Kix. I've always seen a high performance show every time I've seen them.
Kix is so good that my brothers, who were skate rats growing up and hated metal,
especially glam metal. I mean, it's hard to classify. I mean, it's hard to classify Kix.
Yeah,
I think
any of the 80s metal, they hated, and they love Kix.
Yes,
and all their friends who were like skate punks and everything also love Kix.
And I would say, like, in terms of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, maybe we could put that out. Like, if you're listening to this and you get into it, or you hear it after the fact, you want to throw the email. That's the question of the night. Explain the ways, if you're a Kix fan, that Kix would belong into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Stand Up and Shout at gmail.com. Stand Up and Shout Rock Show at gmail.com. But I would say that Steve Whiteman, I think he's a well-acknowledged frontman, but I still would say that he's an underrated frontman.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the respect that he deserves.
No.
Because he is not only a great singer, but superlative as far as just performance and getting the crowd involved and keeping the energy going. He's unbelievable.
Absolutely. There's several out there that to me have received some accolades over the year, but they're not enough, and he's definitely one of them. So tremendous Steve Whiteman fan, and looking forward to next week.
Maybe we can get Scott to wear a Poison shirt Saturday.
Days of 5.
Days of 5.
That's what I'm wearing.
Even Mom is going to have a Days of 5 shirt.
Yes, she is.
Requested
yes,
one.
of course. Yeah.
She requested to pay for one.
She's not. That I would never take a penny from your mother for anything. Anything.
I know, but she's still going to try.
All right. Well, we wrap it up then, Kevin?
Yeah,
Did you have anything else on your mind?
No, I've spilled it all tonight.
It's been quite a week. Now that, like I said, if any thoughts that you have during in terms of media and things that are happening in rock and roll, we want to hear from you. So please contact us. And right now on Facebook, contact us through our email. We're going to have other social media outlets and avenues to kind of make communication more easy, because we want to bring as many of you all into the show as we can. It's going to make it just even more fun.
Absolutely. So
can't wait. Keep up the good work, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks again to our sponsors, RVRepairBear.com and the Wild Style Network, fueled by Monster Energy. And this has been the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show. See ya.
Happy early birthday, Jeff Salisbury. Woohoo.